Satnam Sri Waheguru
Satnam Sri Waheguru
Ek Onkar Satnam Sri Waheguru Satnam Sri Waheguru Waheguru Sri Waheguru Waheguru Sri Waheguru Waheguru Sri Waheguru Ek Onkar Satnam 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 Sri Waheguru.
And so I invite you now to take a deep breath in, relaxing around that breath and simply allowing yourself to relax more fully, more completely now. And with each successive breath, allow yourself to rest, to open, to receive. And take a deep breath in now and draw in divine life into your physical being. Allowing that life to infill your body temple, allowing it to flow, directed by divine intelligence, powered by divine love. Love and life moving into every cell, tissue, organ, body system, bringing strength, vitality, power, balance and order, right function. Feel the fullness of health and wholeness radiating from you now, through you, as you. Allow yourself now to be in the flow of life. And with another deep breath in, draw in divine love into your heart. Love that comes from an infinite source. Love that is the nature of all being, of our own being. Love that connects, that heals, that blesses, that magnetizes, that attracts and draws together all hearts. Love in your heart melts away resentments, unforgiveness for self and others. Breathing into those hard places and letting go with an out-breath of love. Feeling the expansion in your heart throughout your torso with warmth. Allow that love now to move past the limits of your physical being and into the area surrounding you, enveloping you in love, in compassion, and understanding. And with another deep breath in, draw in divine light into your mind. Allow that light now to dispel negative thinking, to shine a light in our power of discernment, that we may see the truth beneath conditions. Light reveals that truth and allows everything untrue to fall away. Divine light shines upon our path, showing us the next steps to take, what is ours to do. Light flows, ever present. And with another deep breath in, let us now move into the interior of our hearts, the inner sanctuary. And let us now sit, wait, and listen to the still, small voice for God that speaks to us in the depths, in the silence, as we wait now. Thank you, Blessed Spirit, For you do speak to us in the depths. Always your voice or perception of a bigger picture, a new idea, a release of the heart, an opportunity to let go, to embrace more of what is, to allow love to come through, a new idea, a bigger picture, another way of seeing. Whatever it is that we receive in this time of quiet, whatever it is we feel, sense of peace or well-being, let us bring back those thoughts, those feelings back into this time and place, knowing that they also stand as reminders of gifts received in the quiet that will be revealed in times of struggle or challenge, in times of trouble or decision-making. For we are never alone. We are always equipped. We are always equal to whatever we face. From the great interior of our hearts, from the strength within, we need remember only to turn within and listen. And so from this powerful reminder, equipped with grace, life, and love, we feel our gratitude in us now as we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Satana Siriwa Hego.
So today we continue the series of the 12 powers that we have been, that I started earlier. And in these 12 powers, I got to select the ones I wanted to do when I wanted to do them. So I took the least favorite of those 12. And I'm not just saying my least favorite. I'm just basically going to just say in a very broad claim, all of unity hates this power of all, I'd say. I may not be speaking for you. Feel free to disagree. But I would tell you that letting go is a hard thing for human beings to do. It is probably one that will take a good part of our life to really master. How is it that we let go? And I think as evidence of that, I think you've probably heard it said that life itself, after we draw our first breath in this form as a baby brought into the world, we spend the remainder of our lives letting go, don't we? To be born is to let go. To be born is to release, to be released from something that is all we have known, to move into something we have no idea where we are. And so each and every emanation of our growth is always a letting go process so that we can open to something bigger and braver and brighter and more powerful than we could have imagined. Because to stay stuck is to begin to die. And it's to begin to move into senescence. And so this in truth is our greatest call. And it is also our greatest opportunity. So release is a spiritual power. I want you to hear that. It's not just something you have to do or something that gets taken away from you, but rather something you at some point willingly do. Because it is the ability to accept more good that allows you to release what has served, what has been good. And in no way are you tossing it aside. In no way are you counting it as not enough or not good. But with gratitude, with full hearts, you let go. Therefore, with full hearts, you create a bigger space for more good to enter in. This is spiritual mastery. This is what each of us are called to do in our lives, no matter what it is that we're in the process of releasing. Krishnamurti wrote this, I call it a poem. In this teaching, he says, have you ever noticed a tree standing naked against the sky? How beautiful it is. All its branches are outlined, and in its nakedness there is a poem, there is a song. Every leaf is gone, and it is waiting for the spring. When the spring comes, it again fills the tree with the music of many leaves, which in due season fall and are themselves blown away. And this is the way of life. It reminds us that this coming and going, this receiving and giving away is a natural process. This is our nature. And the more conscious we become of it, the easier it becomes for us to really feel our gratitude for what has been, so that we can release and take the best with us, letting go of the smaller confines of what we thought it was, giving birth to what it has actually been, and then taking that into the future to receive what is next. And letting go is sometimes hard to do. We do it with grief at times. Grief and resentment at times. Sometimes it's stubborn. Sometimes even unforgiveness can arise. It's all in the parting, in the letting go. There's always a myriad of perhaps unresolved issues or unresolved feelings. That can happen. It doesn't diminish the importance of letting go, and it doesn't diminish the beauty or the power or the importance of that relationship. In fact, I would even underscore, the greater the emotion, the greater the grief, the harder it is to say goodbye, the more unresolved things that are still there, the more important that relationship is and continues to be. So I just offer to you a way to take a look at what is the work of your heart, what is in your heart in terms of letting go. Carol Knapp knows in a smaller way what letting go is meant to her. She says, I'm soon trading my familiar cozy front porch in central Minnesota for our new home in northern Idaho. Our present home on a small acreage is angled toward a cornfield. From my front porch, I followed the farmers planting and harvesting and watched wild deer and turkeys roam the fields. One autumn morning, I was startled by a half-dozen geese materializing from the fog, flying low over our house with a quiet whoosh of their wings. At twilight, I've watched critters creep around in the low darkness, hoping that they weren't skunks. Saying goodbye to my front porch is bittersweet. It's been friend and shelter for 14 years. But there's a new place near my elderly, frail mother waiting for us. And still, I'm a lingerer. Since childhood, it's been hard for me to let go. I do want new adventures, but I cling to what's familiar too. Jesus said, the foxes have holes and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. I know that my life is not tied to a porch. Neither does it depend on the dwelling or the town that I live in. My life belongs to spirit wherever I am led. Meister Eckhart says, and suddenly you know it's time to start something new and trust the magic of beginnings. There's a relentless impulse in us that is always perfectly timed, even if it seems inconvenient, even if it seems like not on your time, even if it is something you don't want to see happen. That impulse that says something new is waiting to be born, to be brought forth, which requires some letting go. It requires some change. It requires things to turn over and for new things to come into view. We naturally resist it because it means we have to change ourselves. And the truth is, I'm not sure we ever do that, really. Change ourselves, I mean. I truly believe that as open-heartedly as we embrace life as it comes, that as authentically and truthfully we admit all of our feelings and speak our truth to those we care about the most, even when it's hard for them to hear. That in fact, all along this pathway, the most truthfully and honestly we can show up is the way in which we actually prepare ourselves for the change to come, for the thing that's calling us out, for the ways in which the relationships we have really do matter, that they're not superficial, that they're not just based on social convention or nicety, that in fact what we do and who we are and what we say and what we feel really do change lives. And most importantly, our own first. The power of release is a power that also enables us to not be frightened by the changes, to not be allowing our fear or our resentments or our unforgiveness to take hold in such a way that we cannot release and move to acceptance and to compassion and to a generosity of spirit in some way, somewhere where we can start to let go. In that process, we become more. We become greater. The process that unity refers to is called a process of using denials and affirmations. Affirmations of deep truth, truth that is absolute truth, we put into words and we use those as ways of knowing that I am divine life. I am divine love. I may not always act like it. It may not always feel that way in my presence, but in truth, I am divine love. And every time I remind myself that I am divine love, I come closer in that moment to actually being able to radiate that, to actually choosing that. But what's required at times is to use the opposite power, which is to release ourselves from the smaller image that we have, from the more limited view, and the limitation of something that's coming. And if we're afraid of letting go of what we have known, to embrace the unknown, to embrace something new, then the power to do that comes in the release. In the same way, I don't know how I got here. I don't know how I'm going to get to where I will be. But in the same way, I let go of the things I fear, of the things that have mattered the most, and I take the best with me, letting go of the dry husk of the shell, of the form it's taken, and draw the best gifts with me. Because really, that's it, isn't it? And so denial, the power of release, is the power to recognize that wasn't the essence of it anyway. The essence of it, you will never lose if you've truly received it. You take that with you, and it becomes the seed for the new outgrowth, for the new visibility. Denying the power of an idea that is too small for you, an idea or a thought or a person or an event, when we get into fear, when we are afraid that something could take it away from us, that something has happened to us, that something bad is just looming to take away our good or our joy. I personally love to refer to my favorite guru, Glinda the Good Witch from Wizard of Oz. That girl knew what was going on. She was a beacon of truth and light. And the coolest thing ever, and you've heard me say this before, but she confronted the ugliest, nastiest, scariest witch, CGI or no CGI. That green witch is still the scariest thing on film, if you ask me. And she confronted her with laughter. And she said, "You have no power here. Be gone before someone drops a house on you too." And you know what? I draw strength from that. I can do the same thing with my fears. When I begin to realize that the power all along is not in what I project out here. It is not in that person. It is not in that thing. It is not in that eventuality. It is not in that illness. It is not in anything that seems to threaten who I am, where I am, or the things I love, or the people I love. That in fact the power resides in us. That the power is ours to use. And that's what
That's really what release is and denial is. The denial to say that has no power over me. I retain the power, and I put the power in the things I really love, the things that really matter, and I trust that. Goodbyes are difficult. Letting go of people, letting go of places that we've lived, things that we've done. We all have plenty experience doing it. Sometimes it was by our choice, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes others have made those choices for us. I'm not sure one's better than another. Some people say it is. I would say that letting go is always a challenge. It's always hard. So whenever I'm confronted with things, I like to look to see how Jesus handled these situations. And I love the way he did it. In John chapter 14, he said, "I've said these things to you while I am still with you. But the advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you everything and remind you of all that I have said to you. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid." I believe that in many ways that sums up a lot of what Jesus wanted his disciples to know. He didn't go back and give them long, lengthy dialogues of theology. He simply reminded them of the truths that they had been taught, that he'd modeled, and the ways in which he had seen them taking those things and starting to appropriate them in their lives and in their relationships. He further says, "If you love me, keep my commands." In other words, his legacy is believe what I believe, what I have taught you, what I have called out of you. Follow those things. Use those tools. And so I say to you, if you love me, I ask you to do this. Stay together. Take care of one another. Do not lose trust or faith in one another. Support those in leadership. Talk to them. Tell them what you see, what you want, what you believe in, and what you're willing to help do and help accomplish here in this ministry. Do not take this opportunity to slip away or fall out of view or take a break. If anything, this is the time to double down, to put your shoulder in, to say, I'm part of this. Find ways to tell the truth to each other, even when it's hard. And listen to each other, even when it's hard. Find ways to really be in community, because that's what real community is. Not superficial, not nicey-nicey, not just, hi, how are you? Don't really tell me, I'm going to walk over here. Sometimes, I guess, you can feel that way, but in the most part, we care about one another. And we know that we're missed, and we know that we're cared about as well. Invest yourself in what you love, what has served you here, and what you want to make happen. This ministry is no one person. It is all of us together. And it is the strength of all who've been called here that will allow this ministry to become what it will become. I feel deeply it is gathering energy right now, even as we speak. There is an energy that is gathering here on new shoulders and across talents and gifts. And people who haven't even found this church yet, who are thinking about coming in the few weeks ahead or the months ahead, who will show up at just the right time to bring this into its next expression. Embrace the one who will be called here, to feel the love that is here and to be changed by it, as I have been and as you have been. You know you have, because the mission of this church is to open minds, transform lives, and make a positive difference in the world. And you know, even as you hear those words, no human being does that. we allow it to happen in the presence of truth and love and honesty, peace, and opening ourselves courageously to what will change us from the inside. In John chapter 15, Jesus goes on. He says, I do not call you servants any longer, because the servant does not know what the master is doing. But I have called you friends, because I have made known to you everything that I have heard from my Father. And so likewise, I have told you everything I have learned. And I made some stuff up right up here on Sunday. You didn't know that. But you see, that's the beauty of unity. See, I don't have to convince you of anything. I don't have to make you mumble back creeds or repeat dogmas or pretend like you believe something that you really aren't sure you do yet. If I've ever made you feel that way, please forgive me, because that was never the intention. It is not required of you. Always you remain in power of the things that really draw you from your heart, what is next for you. You are the only spiritual authority you need to pay attention to. And you know when you've heard something that you need to hear or something you need to experience, and you will follow that because you're here today. And wherever you will go in your life to come, and whoever will come and join you here will also add to your ongoingness as you allow in, as you choose. And so there are times here, the other thing I want to say about unity, just to defame it before I go, I guess, is to say that coming out of the Catholic Church, where I really did have to, I really tried to contort myself into belief system. Some of it came easily, but other parts of it I really struggled with. But the cool thing is here, I get to invent theology right here, right now, when we come to a place of new discovery, of how do we take these two ideas and how do these two things come together, and suddenly there's always a blending, because there's only really one truth. One truth is the oneness. Everything comes back to oneness. Everything comes out of one. Therefore, we cannot wander too far afield that we don't at some point find, if we follow honestly and truthfully our way back to the center, we will always find our way back. And so it's given me enormous freedom to jump out here with you and learn something new in your presence and in your love. I will always care about your good news and always about your sad news. I will always be glad to hear from you and to see you when our paths cross. And you will have lost nothing in that, but gained a new mentor, a new teacher, a new leader who will be your next minister. So you stand to gain and not really have to lose really much at all. Because the love that is here is real. And it preceded all of us. And it draws us. And it will draw those who will follow each of us, and certainly the one who will follow me. And nothing changes that. And so I encourage you to keep the energy vibration in this building, in this community high, that you solve your issues, that you heal your differences, that you speak the truth, that you seek to find a way back to love with those you disagree with. And don't let pettiness or judgments or rumors or anything like that tear you apart. You jealously guard this community as I have done, and keep the energy together, loving one another. It doesn't mean you're not going to have disagreements. Those aren't wrong. That's human beings. And I'll tell you what else it is. It's often the cusp of something new needing to be born. But don't let it take you away, and don't let it depress you or keep you down or fracture you. Come together and find a way to love again. Sharon Foster talks about saying goodbye. She says I'm preoccupied thinking about my 80-year-old friend and Scrabble nemesis, Lizette Williams. Sitting in my car alone, I think random thoughts, so I will not fret about Lizette. And I'm looking out at the clouds and the sky, how there used to be so many butterflies, but I can't remember the last time I saw one. Now, mostly I see them in the summers when I'm away at camp. That's the camp that I visit with Lizette, the woman I've nicknamed my roommate. I've nicknamed her my roomie. My roomie has been gravely ill now, and it troubles me that I'm not able to be at her side to say goodbye. She and I have had many talks and shared some hard-fought Scrabble games. I don't want to imagine the camp in Pembroke, Illinois, without her jetting around on her golf cart, working in the kitchen or stopping to hug the children. She made all of us feel loved and welcomed, and I want to do the same. Selfishly, I don't want her to pass without personally saying goodbye. And suddenly, though it is a cold, blustery spring day in Illinois, there's a parade of butterflies fluttering before the windshield now, all of a sudden. They're all kinds, big ones, tiny ones, purple, yellow, blue, white, like a child would draw. I laugh in spite of myself, especially at one large one, comically flapping her wings as the wind blows her about. No one else is around to witness the butterflies. I smile more thinking of my roomie. And then my friend Mary calls to tell me her mother, my roomie, has passed. And I inhale, ready to be sad, especially since I couldn't be with her. Then the butterfly flutters by and catches my eye again. And I smile. Goodbye, Lizette. Goodbye, roomie. Until we meet again. Richard Bach says, "Don't be dismayed at goodbyes. A farewell is necessary before you can meet again. And meeting again, after moments or lifetimes, is certain for those who are friends." We are friends. And at the conclusion of this week, I move out of the role, completing 13 years, almost to the day. Well, I'd say to the day. My first Sunday here was July 4th weekend, 13 years ago. So the complete circle is so perfect, just like the natural cycles of our experience. And so I get to move out of this role and simply savor the love that has always been real. And as I say, I will always care about your good news and your sad news. I will always care when I see you, hear about you. I trust you will feel the same way about me. And we will be friends wherever we are, whenever life brings our paths back across. Thank you so much for everything you've given me and for this great job that I hope somebody who comes behind me totally gets how cool and what a gem this ministry is. You are going to call somebody amazing here, and I will be your biggest cheerleader when that happens. God bless you all. I'll let you do this. Okay, that's enough. Thank you so much.